What's going on, everyone? Welcome into WNBA today here on SportsGrid TV. It's Friday, but Friday's about to get a lot better because we are in playoff mode. Final four, that is, when it comes to the WNBA. We've got some news and headlines to circle around to as well on this lovely Friday. But guess what, guys? I'm not doing it by myself today. No, you get Kasey, Hudson, and James Young to break things down going on in the WNBA because it's getting exciting. We're going to see some interesting matchups take place here. I'm going to say that I'm not freaking out quite yet when it comes to the Lynx and what's going on with their playoff position. But outside of that, Coach, how are you doing? Thank you so much for joining me here on WNBA today because we got to kidnap you for the whole slate.
I think kidnapping is a very, very strong word. I am very happy to be here, Kasey, to talk WNBA Final Four. And I will say this. I still like your bet of them getting out of this round. I don't think they win at Minnesota, but it's going to be a dogfight. I'm sure we'll talk about that game much more in the next half hour.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you and I are still on the same team. I feel like once playoffs start kind of unraveling themselves, things change up. I haven't checked in on Dexter yet to see how he's feeling, but I know that you've got New York fans that got to stick with New York fans. Now, before we jump into playoffs, before we jump into the bracket, we did find out that, I want to say no surprise, but to some extent a surprise, Caitlin Clark pulls off Rookie of the Year. What she did with her team, what she did for her team, obviously tremendous accomplishment there, but there's been a lot of drama with almost everything Caitlin Clark has accomplished or not accomplished this season. So, unanimous Rookie Decision of the Year in jeopardy after Angel Reese development. What do you make of, first of all, her getting Rookie of the Year? Second of all, the development that's now coming out with the Angel Reese vote, the potential of non-unanimous. I mean, so much going on here.
You know, Kasey, there always has to be some kind of drama surrounding Caitlin Clark. And the sad thing about it, Kasey, I don't think Caitlin wants any of this, right? I just think the girl generally just wants to hoop and do it at a high level. So to me, the fact that Angel Reese's team absolutely fumbled it down the stretch, that's more to the way Chicago runs their whole franchise. By the way, shout out to this guy for firing Teresa Weatherspoon after you had a dumpster fire by basically selling off Marina Mabrey for peanuts to the Connecticut Sun. But to me, once that trade was made, that team went downhill, and Angel Reese missed the last 7 or 8 games of the year. Why wasn't Caitlin Clark the unanimous vote for Rookie of the Year? This is the Caitlin Clark that, besides, I would say, the Rookie year of Candace Parker in 2008. Remember, folks, she's the only player in the history of the WNBA to win Rookie of the Year and MVP the same season. It's arguably one of the top, I would say, 10 seasons maybe in the history of the league. How does she not win unanimous Rookie of the Year? And that kind of speaks to why the voters did that. Maybe there's ulterior motives, but at the end of the day, it gets us talking about a little bit more about Caitlin Clark, which is always good, Kasey, for the WNBA.
Yeah, and I think you made a strong point there, Coach, to say Caitlin Clark's not asking for all of this attention, let alone all of this drama. And you had some teammates come and speak out, also Leah Boston, to be like, this is not somebody who hasn't deserved this. So why do we continuously put Caitlin Clark in this light as if she has stolen something from everybody in the WNBA rather than earning it? And the worst part about it, Coach, is the excitement of her joining the WNBA, the excitement of what she was going to bring to the court, and let alone how she was going to engage in real-in fans. It's like all of that has gone through the window just because she tends to surpass, create her own records, stay in her own lane. It's almost like Caitlin Clark can't win in a sense. I'm not taking away from some of the other drama that's taken place, but for the most part, you nailed it. She's not looking for this drama. She wants to play ball. She's going to continue to stroll forward, but it's just unfortunate that it can't come without a bunch of issues. I will say. Go ahead.
Say, Kasey, and then sorry to interrupt you. You know, I'm sorry, folks. I'm 48. I basically be Kasey's father. That's how old I am. So let me bring you back to when I was young. It was 1979. The NBA was floundering. And there was a guy out of Indiana State named Larry Bird. And they created this Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Save the NBA.
Yes.
And when it came, unfortunately, I hate to go there, it became about race. Mm-hmm. This is happening again in the WNBA. Now, it's up to the WNBA to, ready? I hate to say this, capitalize on Caitlin Clark like the NBA capitalized on Magic and Larry and Magic. They got the TV deal. There was a good piece that was on 60 Minutes. If no one watched it, it was on this past weekend that talked about the WNBA and the growth and the fact that these ladies need to get paid. If you're the WNBA, you got to do this right. This is your chance right now in 2024 to make sure 2025 is better. They have to do a better job of scheduling. They have to do a better job of getting these games out and not just promoting, obviously, Caitlin Clark, but promoting the other stars in the league. And there's going to be another one coming out next year named Paige Beckers, who's going to be used in that same light. Use these young ladies wisely to grow the league.
Yep. I'm so glad that you said that as well, because they can use these women. They can use now what the marketing assets are that people did not have back then. Rather than pitting players against one another, rather than making it a race fight, they've got so many other tools to their advantage to make people love the game, which is why I repeat, everybody was excited to see what Caitlin Clark was going to do in the WNBA, and then it just turned into this whole pit against one versus the other versus just the game. So let's see if they can take advantage of that. Let's see if they can restructure some things and refocus some things more importantly. But speaking of Marina Mayberry and Chicago's flop and fall when it comes to the coach firing, when it comes to the fact that they got rid of players that she could have helped bring Chicago further along throughout the season, you've got Marina Mayberry fighting for a playoff, fighting to continue through playoffs, fighting to get to the finals, and being a key player for her team. Lynx versus the Sun, now that we are rolling through this postseason. You've got the Lynx, who dropped one and then tied things up, so this series is 1-1 currently. The Sun were able to take home court advantage, stealing game one on the road by 3 points. You got a Lynx team powered by Collier, as we've talked about a number of times, but they can't rely on her solely because Suns defense did step up and they found ways to kind of isolate and contain her just a bit. So when we're looking at this matchup, when we're looking at how the Sun readjusted their defense to try to ice out Collier a little bit, doesn't mean that Courtney Williams didn't step up to the plate to help out her team. But what are we seeing in this matchup going on tonight?
Very simply put, folks, it's the battle at the three-point line. These are two of the best defensive teams in the WNBA. Go look at the tape. Go look at the games. Game number 1, Connecticut, the worst three-point shooting team in the WNBA, shoots over 40% from three. They win by 3. Obviously, Minnesota struggles. Game number 2, it completely flipped. You had a team in the Lynx that shot the ball extremely well from 3. I think they shot it at 42%. And then you had 25% for the Connecticut Sun. Simply put, Kasey, whoever defends the 3 and hits the 3, that team will win game number 3.
Ooh, okay. I was wondering where we were going to go with that, because you're right when you mentioned the 3. Also, we talked about Marina Mayberry and the fact that she's somebody who stepped up in that category, not only defending the 3, but posting some crucial 3s herself to help the Sun pivot through. More importantly, you've got the Lynx that are second in playoff with scoring, but can we get other players? They have 5 double-digit players on their roster. Can we get other players to get involved and alleviate some pressure off of Collier? We've got 1 minute before we take it to break, but we'll continue this conversation on the other side.
You know, I think one thing to look at is really those two. You got to look at just Smith. You have to look at, obviously, I think Collier's going to bounce back. I think there was a terrible performance. Hint, you'll be seeing that as part of my card of my best bets. But to me, the three-point shooters of Smith to be able to be beneficial. Also look at McBride and Williams. You got to shoot the ball from 3, because then you allow Collier to cook. They will shoot from 3. Hint. I think you know where I'm going for who's going to win the game tonight.
Yes. Well, good thing we've got those betting cards coming up here on WNBA today, but we also have a quick break coming up right here, so don't go anywhere. Stick with us here on SportsGrid TV as Coach and I join you on the other side of this quick break.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night, I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Sunday Night Football, not really much of a matchup here, and the Bills looked so good up until this point, and, you know, to me, it's probably like a one-off for them.
The basic thing you have to do against the Ravens, force them to pass and try to use their weapons downfield, get them behind, because if you can do that, then it takes Derrick Henry a little bit out of the game. But if you get them with momentum coming out of the gate, getting a long touchdown run to the first play.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back into WNBA today on this lovely Friday on SportsGrid TV. Kasey Hudson hanging out with Coach, or James Young, as you may know, SportsGrid's very own basketball mind. As we break down playoffs, we talked about some of the headlines that are circulating around. We're getting into the Suns versus Lynx game, and look, I haven't lost hope. I feel like the Lynx are still going to pull it off. This is just going to make them tougher, Coach, when they lift the trophy at the end of it all. That's me being hopeful. But let's get back into this matchup. We're talking about some angles here when you're looking at players that are probably going to step up on both rosters. You said Collier could potentially get back into rare form and have herself a game, and we were in the middle of breaking that down before we went to break. So I'm interested to learn more about this because I know some people may waver on betting on Collier because they made it seem like the Sun kind of solved her. I don't think she's solvable, but you mentioned the fact that she just didn't bring her best performance. So how would you kind of attack her props?
Well, I think this is something that I love. I do love a double-double tonight at an Nafisha Collier. This is Nafisha Collier, is one of the premier rebounders in the WNBA, and obviously runner-up to MVP. So when you look at Fish, she is someone that is going to bring it, and she obviously had, I would dare say, her worst performance of these playoffs. I would say, man, maybe her worst performance of the season. In game number 2. So I expect Big Fish to kind of get it done, even though she still got to 12 rebounds. So you're finding her around even money. She has not, and this is why people are nervous about Fish. She hasn't had a double-double in the playoffs. I think this is a big spot for her. I think she gets it done. Fish Collier, one of my best bets, will get a double-double tonight.
Beautiful. Now let's take a look at the other team for a minute, because at the top of the last segment, we talked about the difference maker being three-pointers here. You've got Mabry, who was disturbing the peace when it came to knocking down three-pointers previously. Are we going to see more of that out of her, or is she going to continue to rise the occasion by putting up those threes?
You know, Kasey, you brought up disturbing the peace. You had me thinking about Ludacris for a second. So I don't know if that's where you were going with it, but I'm following you with it.
That's where I got it from, so we're on
go.
the same page.
To me, Kasey, when you look at props like this, it's not the number of shots you make, it's the amount of shots you take. So I like Marina Mabry plus 135 on FanDuel to lead the game in three-pointers made. Simply put, since the playoffs started, 12, 10, 11, 8. She's averaging 10.3 three-point attempts per game. So she's going to get the looks, right? So to me, that's something you may want to look at, is the ability of someone like Marina Mabry to lead the actual game in three-pointers made. So when you start thinking about that, you got to start to, like kind of correlate. Like, is there an angle in which I could find that and play it off together? So you can't go Alyssa Thomas to lead the game in assists because it's minus 270, right? But what you're getting out of Alyssa Thomas is an uptick on points. You know the rebounds are going to get there. And if Mabry's firing off, and I think Mabry's going to lead the game in three-pointers made, then you got to look at who benefits with that. That's Alyssa Thomas because she's going to have the ball in her hands. I think something people should be looking at is Alyssa Thomas. I mean, you can go double-double at minus 165. You can get crazy and go Alyssa Thomas triple-double at plus 390. Or simply put, you can go Alyssa Thomas over PRA at 32.5. She's going to play. It's going to be a tight game. She's going to play 38 to 40 minutes. She's going to get you between rebounds and assists somewhere near 20. And can she score enough? Alyssa Thomas over 32.5 PRA tonight.
Oh, I like those. I feel like some things are going to line up on my betting card once we get to that. Any other angles, particularly with player props or this game in general, that you want to throw out for WNBA fans before we pivot over to the next game on the playoff docket?
You know what's great about this game, Kasey, series? It's defense. And I'm a coach. This is half court. There's defense. There's cheap shots. There's technical fouls. There's trash talking. All the things that Coach Young loves. So if I love all of that, what am I saying? Under. Half-court game, slow paced, series is 1-1. Neither team wants to give up an inch. Starters play big minutes, won't run the floor. Under 150.5. Listen, this game could be like Knicks Heat of the 90s. This may not get to 130. 140. Ooh. I think this game is going to be a dogfight under 150.5 in the game.
Look, for postseason, we love a good dogfight, and we love to see who actually has that dog in them. We'll see who breaks this series tie 1-1 tonight. Who's going to prevail forward? I'm not going to be biased and say it's going to be Minnesota, but I think that they're going to really try to redirect the narrative in this playoff matchup. Let's pivot over to Liberty versus Aces now. Of course, Liberty leading the series 2-0 right now. We haven't seen much fight out of the Aces, or particularly as much fight as some fans were hoping for. Now, let's just put this in perspective. Liberty are also 5-0 against the Aces this season, including playoffs. What stands out to you in this matchup? Do the Liberty prevail through, or can the Aces put up one more battle?
Kasey, this is all about pride. Simply put, you have a proud franchise that's won back-to-back WNBA titles. The first defending champion to be down 0-2 in a series as a defending champion. I see pride on the line. I see Asia Wilson with a monster game. And you guys know me, I'm basically a Liberty homer. I think the Aces win this game. I think they find a way to win this game. I said Liberty in 4 beforehand. I'm not changing off of it. I think this is a 4-game series. You get a pride check, and especially Kelsey Plum, who was god-awful in game number 2. She's going to be better at home. Give me the Aces on the money line to continue this series.
Ooh, Aces on the money line. I can't wait for us to unpack your betting card, Coach. But you know what? I agree with you. Pride brings a lot of gumption, a lot of moxie, a lot of passion to the court. And I think that it's going to help make for a more interesting game. Really quickly before we cut to break, does that make you weather anywhere on the total of this one, over or under? 30 seconds.
No, it doesn't. And we'll talk about it after the break because Becky Hammond said some things. She went to the media to motivate this team. I think it works. That's why I'm taking them on the money line.
Some media care scene. We love that. Stick with us here on WNBA today on SportsGrid TV. We got a quick break coming up here before we continue to unpack playoffs and get into our betting cards, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this quick break.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets and when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night, I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Sunday Night Football, not really much of a matchup here. And the Bills looked so good up until this point. And, to me, it's probably like a one-off for them.
The basic thing you have to do against the Ravens, force them to pass and try to use their weapons downfield, get them behind. Because if you can do that, then it takes Derrick Henry a little bit out of the game. But if you get them with momentum coming out of the gate, getting a long touchdown run to the first play.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Back at it with WNBA today here on SportsGrid TV. Kasey Hudson joined by James Young to break down the WNBA playoffs. Postseason is coming in hot, a chance to win it all and move forward for the Liberty and a chance to break the tie for, well, I'm saying Lynx, but either the Lynx or the Sun. Coach, we talked about some hot headlines, or like I like to put it, kerosene being tossed on the headlines to fire up a team before we went to this break. Can you break that down for us within this Liberty Aces matchup?
Well, if there's kerosene, Becky Hammond became ExxonMobil because she done put a whole lot of gas on that fire when she basically, after game 2, said that her team hasn't shown an edge all year. And she's right. But it's interesting, Kasey, that she picks now, backs against the wall, down 0-2. So her motto should be, as a coach, you haven't had an edge all year. I basically told the press 2 things. Number 1, shut me up and prove me wrong. And 2, we have nothing to lose. Everybody expects at this point that the Liberty's going to win the series. Let's make everybody sweat it out. And that brings me to another angle and makes it interesting because we were just talking during the break.
Mm-hmm.
Even the books don't think this is going to be a blowout for the Liberty. If you look at the winning margin, 10 points, right, on FanDuel, the Liberty to win by 11 to 20 points is 7-1. The Aces are plus 370. So I'm going to go on a limb here and say this. If the Liberty win, it's going to be tight. I would just honestly do like Liberty 1 to 5 points plus 490 if you think the Liberty going to win, or plus 450. But if the Vegas Aces win, I think this could get ugly. It could be a blowout. And if you're Sandy Bordello, you don't risk injury, you punt. Part of me is starting to think, yes, I'm taking on the money line. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on a Vegas Aces blowout tonight.
Oh, yeah, you're making me want to inch towards that one. I had Liberty plus 3 about a day and a half ago, but I'm still trying to gauge whether or not I'm locked in on that one. What are your best bets for the matchups going on tonight, Coach?
Yeah, I like the Aces to win this game. If you just want to put it straight on the money line, minus 152, I have no problems doing that. That's one of my best bets. Jonquel Jones is the enigma of the Liberty. I had a good talk with someone in the WNBA a couple weeks ago, and she's the interesting case because she's the one that makes this team go. Jonquel Jones is going to double-double simply based off of one thing. Does she commit stupid fouls? If she doesn't commit stupid fouls, she's going to get it. She did it last game. Jonquel Jones plus 110 to get a double-double. It'll be 2 out of 3 games. Sabrina Ionescu, this is another play on the opportunities. Sabrina Ionescu to lead the game in 3-pointers made. That is sitting right now at plus 190 on FanDuel, I would take a look at that. I think Sabrina will get the attempts because she has been the best player for the Liberty series, even more than Brianna Stewart.
Oh, I love those. We're on the same page there a little bit. I got Ionescu for 3+ made threes, but the value doesn't come in as high as what you mentioned, so I may have to make some adjustments here, Coach. Liberty at the +3, like I mentioned beforehand, still kind of weathering through that. I got Mabry at 3+ made threes, -148. Courtney Williams to step up and contribute at least 10+ points, -200. And then, look, I'm trying to pour in some luck here. I've got the Lynx on the money line, +114, hoping that they take that series lead and get ready to get into their finals appearance. So anything else we should gauge as these two games get ready to go down on this Friday night, Coach, before we hang out the WNBA today?
I would say this, folks. If the Liberty do get a sweep, I will go on record right now saying that I don't think, obviously the coach of Becky Hammond will not be the coach of the Vegas Aces next year. I think this situation with Darica Hamby is going to come up again after the season, and I do think we will see Becky Hammond on the sideline. My prediction, she goes back to the NBA, she goes to Pop, she becomes the top assistant again for the San Antonio Spurs, and she will eventually be the first woman to be a head coach of an NBA team.
Wow, that is something tremendous to keep an eye on. So fans, make sure you're marking that down, engaging it as WNBA gets moving through this postseason. But most importantly, let's see what the coaching carousel holds on the other end. There's been plenty of drama. There's been plenty of positives. But most importantly, we got to focus on the Final Four and see who moves forward into the finals as this season gets close to a wrap. That is a wrap, though, for myself and Coach James Young. Make sure you follow him on X or Twitter, whatever you prefer to call it, so that you can continue to stay on top of best bets, angles, and odds when it comes to the WNBA today. And as for this Friday, I hope you guys continue to have an amazing Friday. I hope you have a safe Friday night. I hope you enjoy the WNBA slate today and join us back here on SportsGrid TV for WNBA Today next Friday.
Anyone that's been
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards.
That was
so did Lincoln!
But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take!
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Simply put, the only way to bet this is over under win total. I love Tyronn Lue. I think he's one of the 5 best coaches in the league. But my dear friend George Sorless told us to me a long time ago, you can't win if you don't got the talent. Unfortunately, I don't think the Clippers have the talent to match up.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Brian Daboll has been feeling it. He's in a foul mood. He's having stare downs with Pat Leonard and everything else.
John Mara wants Brian Daboll to go and get the next quarterback. They tried to get the next quarterback. We all watched it on Hard Knocks. They couldn't end up with Daniels. They couldn't end up with May. So they said, okay, we'll run it back a year. We'll go get Neighbors, and we'll tolerate.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on